in BOA for $300+ million. So the whole process, I felt, was, in that specific case, was a sham. Because it's, you know, to add to my father's explanation on the BOT, what's good about the BOT is that after a proponent is evaluated, that proponent's project, and if that would have been us, if we were the only BOT proponent, would have to go still through a public bidding. It doesn't, and so everybody can bid, including ZTE, for that matter. So I think that would have been the most transparent way. But I guess the disappointments that I have is that, and I just find out today that since December 2, ganun pala. So
although that letter was brought up during one of the hearings, hindi ba?
No, it was brought up by Chairman Abalos saying since December 2, ZTE was already picked as the supplier. So he said, why would I still need to deal with Joey de Venecia or whoever else? And the reason for that is that because my proposal was a BOT proposal. So that in terms of the rules and of course for the Philippine government, it's superior because there's no cost to government in that specific proposal. So that's what Mr. Abalos had to hurdle in order to be able to get a ZTE deal approved at the NEDA, which eventually was approved and signed by Secretary Mendoza in China.
Okay. You mentioned Abalos on the day that he resigned. You were being interviewed. You know, did you think at that point that perhaps that would have been the end of it, or did you feel that day was not the end of it, but just the beginning of another long, drawn-out story?
Yeah, I felt in my heart deeply that it was just the beginning, because although I saved the country in this BOT proposal, $330 million, I also had stopped the commissions within that $330 million amount, and that I feel affects a number of people in government. So that I knew for a fact would start a new strain with other people, and I expected this. I mean, people have been bashing me in the newspaper, saying I'm a liar, sour graper, etc.
But the things they said about you,
but I try not to go down to that level because it's pointless. What's important to me is that I said under oath the truth, and I was able to help my country at least not be indebted again for an additional 16 billion when our total national debt is already 3.8 trillion pesos. You know, and when I look at my advocacies in the Philippines, my advocacies are transparency in national governance, which I hope would have happened through this impeachment issue. The second one is a fight on corruption, and thirdly is to lower the debt of the Philippines. But at the rate we were going, when you look at the budget, and my father knows this, the debt payment is 30% of the budget, but that's on your interest payment. They don't include the 500 million principal payment. So when you add that, then your deficit shoots up, and what's left for basic services for the different agencies of this country is only about 20% of the budget. So we're just going to be in this continuous cycle of borrowing. So that's why I believe that the BOT law is the way that our country can progress, because what we need here is our investors to build infrastructure, to build roads, to build bridges, to build dams, and we don't have this kind of money. And we have to make it conducive for investors through our implementing rules and laws that we are consistent. But an example of inconsistency is first this NBN ZTE deal. Then you have a second project now, which could be also a BOT, which is a cyber ed. So that has to be reviewed as well. And I hope that my father, knowing that there's an oversight committee anyway in Congress on looking
Yeah.
at debt. Maybe that's one of the things that they should look at.
Yeah. It's interesting, Joey, that you say transparency. No, does it worry you that in the last few days they talk about not allowing documents in NEDA about the ZTE-NBN deal to surface?
Yeah, it worries me because it's conflicting to, well, firstly, the administration said it's executive privilege, this information. Then Romy Neri the next day says it's public document. So there's definitely a problem right there.
But this goes against the grain of transparency, right? I mean, you can't be transparent if you don't.
Yeah, if you don't want to show the document, then you can't be transparent. And what is wrong if the board minutes of the NEDA is made public, and people can see how government works.
Yeah.
And it doesn't, and all the other non-government organizations, even the church, even the businessmen may have their own suggestions to be able to lift our country